YTBC student. Now, that is the youngest, baddest uploader who has stepped foot and touched buttons on this thing and has made total sense. And I tell you something, I've seen a lot of them come and go. But YTBC student has now graduated into the midst of the masters.
What up, everybody who talks boxing, comments about boxing, and makes boxing videos? I want to start off by giving a big shout out to Dil Town. And the reason why I want to give a shout out to Dil Town is on my last video, Dil Town left some comments where, you know, he has a completely he has an opposite stance on the Kovalev Ward fight than I do. He didn't insult me. He didn't, you know, give me any grief. He agreed to disagree. And that's because Dil Town is just an adult. That's just what adults do. They don't go and try to crucify others just because they have a different opinion. So, hats off to Dil Town. If you were to go onto my video, you're not going to see his comments. And that's because when it comes to Dil Town, for some reason, YouTube does not allow me to... well, first off, his comments just simply don't post on the video on the YouTube app. In order for me to see his comments, for some reason, I have to go to the YouTube Manager app and look at his comments there, but I'm not able to reply to them. I'm not able to, you know, it's not like an approval thing either, because I've had that where that's randomly happened, where somebody's comment will be sitting there and I have to approve it for some reason, and I don't find a problem with it. I'll just approve it. Y'all know me. I don't really censor my comments unless it's something that's absolutely absurd and nonsensical. So I think I've only deleted one or two comments the whole time that I've been on YouTube, which in August has been a year. So basically I've been on YouTube for a year and 3 months now. So, but anyways, big shout out to him for being respectful and to me as a person, as a man who thinks for himself. So thank you so much, Dil Town, and thank you to everybody else, because I haven't had really any comments calling me a hater. I haven't had any and I know that there's people who disagree with me because who have watched the video, because I have thumbs downs on it, which I don't really care about thumb downs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't bother me. You know, you didn't like the video, fine, thumb it down. That's what that thumb down button is for. You didn't like the video. And then what I do is I do look at the likes and dislikes, and then I, you know, kind of evaluate what was my content, what could I have done better, and what could be the reasoning for the thumb downs. You know, if I have more thumbs downs than I have thumbs up, then I can reasonably and logically assume that there's possibly something I did wrong. Now, there's way more thumbs up than thumbs down, then maybe it's just some people who can't handle the fact that other people have opinions. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not here to teach people how to be adults. I'm here to talk about boxing. And it's sad because, you know, probably about 10% of the time, which I think is 10% way too much, I have to talk about other topics that aren't boxing related, but are related to the boxing community. but I am thankful that, at least everybody who watched the video actually heeded to my disclaimers before I started talking about my thoughts on the Kovalev-Ward fight. So I do thank everybody. The thumbs down don't bother me, but I do take it in consideration when making future videos. So, but anyways, the topic of the video is really about what people were saying about boxing is dying. And first off, I'm not saying that when you say this that you're right or wrong, because it really all depends on the context of what you mean by boxing is dying. When you say boxing is dying, or do you mean in the context that, there is a steady decline in the interest of the sport, and by a certain time, it's not going to be financially, it won't be supported enough where it can continue on? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean that boxing as a sport, the way that it's intended to be, is dying because it's not working out the way that a sport is intended to be run? Because if that's your stance on it, that second one, and there's many other ways it could be interpreted. Those are just two examples, but that second one is the one I kind of want to, talk about. It's really not illogical to think that. Now, me personally, I don't think boxing is dying. I think, there's just certain things going on in boxing, for lack of a better term, is going through growing pains. There's been transitions, especially when a big fighter leaves the sport, which Floyd Mayweather is the biggest fighter that we've had in a while. When they leave the sport, it does kind of leave the sport in kind of a no man's land. Like, we're just trying to find out, okay, where are we at now? And I think that's really what's going on. There's a lot of jockeying for position, trying to get the upper hand, especially in the welterweight division. You see this a lot. Every champion or anybody who's ranked wants to claim that they are the best welterweight in the world. And the fact of the matter is, as much as I like Keith Thurman, I can't say that he's the best welterweight in the world. I really can't say any of them are the best, because right now I don't even want to consider Manny Pacquiao. He just needs to retire. But I mean, if we are going to have to say, okay, who do you think is the best? I'm going to have to say Manny Pacquiao, just based off of his resume, and he's still fighting young champions, So I would still have to say Manny Pacquiao, but I really wish he would just kind of step out and stay out, because these guys really need to fight each other. And as long as he's around, I see them, doing what they did with Floyd Mayweather, which is trying to wait it out, trying to get that big payday. And then that's the other thing. They're not going to get the kind of payday that they think that they're going to get, because one thing I will say is I think pay-per-view is dying. Boxing, I don't think is dying, but pay-per-view, I think, is dying. And, Manny Pacquiao, his pay-per-view didn't do as well as, some people would have hoped. But, I mean, I'm not really having hopes for any, and including Kovalev-Ward, any pay-per-view doing too well right now. So, now, if you're saying that boxing is dying because of the Kovalev-Ward fight, one thing that I want to say is, I know a lot of this is emotions are high. Trust me, emotions were high for me too, because I hate to see anybody get robbed. And I do feel it was a robbery. Like I said, if you don't feel it was, we can agree to disagree, and we don't have to argue. You have your reasons, I have mine. But there's been robberies in the past. This robbery is not going, this robbery and this fight does not determine the future of the sport. Now, what it does do is it does give a lot of, a lot of scrutiny on judging. And what it does do is it also puts a lot of eyes on the light heavyweight division that really weren't there before. I mean, people have been keeping a little bit of an eye on it, but that was just because they knew this fight was coming. Now that this fight has happened, it's like, okay, what happens next? Who does Ward fight? Does the rematch happen right away? Does he fight Adonis Stevenson? Who does Adonis Stevenson fight next? Is there going to be a buildup, or we're going to have to wait a year for that fight? There's a lot of thoughts that are going on because of the outcome of the fight, So, and I'm not talking about the controversy. I'm just talking about that was going to happen either way. Whoever, regardless of who won, these are questions that were going to happen. The only question that probably would have come up that didn't come up because of the outcome would have been, if Ward would have lost, people would be probably thinking, okay, is Ward going to go back down to 168, or is he going to continue at light heavyweight? So, I mean, that's really, these are really the only things that fight has done, but it doesn't determine the whole sport, because like I said, it's not the first robbery. I think Marquez got robbed in the third Pacquiao fight. I think Yuneski Gonzalez got robbed when he fought Jean Pascal. And I think that Mauricio Herrera got robbed when he fought Danny Garcia. But, all these are fights that time has passed since, and the sport is still, it's still around. Well, I mean, I know some of them were more recent than others, but you get what I'm saying. Like, and there's been robberies have been happening since way before then. Fights have been thrown since way before then. I mean, everybody knows the story of the Phantom Punch, and if you don't look into it, between Muhammad Ali and Sonny Liston, there's a whole controversy over that win. So, I think the sport will be okay. I think it's going through some growing pains because of, just the transitions. Like I said, a lot of fighters are trying to jock for position. There's this mythical pound for pound crown that doesn't even actually exist. It just really exists in the hearts of the fans, and each fan has a different, you know what I'm saying? Like, just see it for what it is. And real quick, I don't remember the gentleman's name. I was in the comment section of Jay Cotto's video that he did about the fight, and Jay Cotto mentioned how Ward, and I've heard this before, it's not the first time I've heard it, that Ward is planning on going to to full-blown heavyweight by the end of his career. And I put a comment saying, I don't think Ward can hang with the top heavyweights. I want to touch on that real quick. I don't see Ward ever going up to heavyweight. I really don't. And here's why. All right. Ward is 31 years old. Okay. Had Ward been a lot younger, I would say, okay, by the time he gets to light heavyweight, we don't know who's going to be in that division. A lot of these guys will probably be retired by then. But Ward is not a young fighter. He's 31, or wait, no, he's 32. Sorry, he's 32. So, him being 32 and Deontay Wilder is either 31 or 32. Do you really think that he could beat Wilder? Do you think he could beat Joshua? Because Joshua is, 26 or 27, around there? These are guys that he will more than likely have to face. And I'll be honest with you, as good as Ward is, he's not going to beat those guys. He's not, because it's not going to go to a decision against either of the two men that I just mentioned. Now, Ortiz, he may not ever fight Ortiz because Ortiz is in his late 30s, and it's even presumed that he may be older than that because in Cuba, they tend to lie about their age. So he could have lied about his age, but there is rumors going around that he's actually in his 40s. And in the heavyweight division, fighters do tend to have more longevity. They do tend to fight past 40. Look at Shannon Briggs. But, you know, he could probably beat, like, I don't know, David Haye. If he were to beat David Haye, I would say it's purely due to his age, you know. And I mean, I know David Haye's not necessarily the oldest fighter, but he's definitely past his prime. But he may not even beat him, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think Andre Ward, his place in boxing history is from 168 to 175. He may want to try his hand at cruiserweight. The only thing about that is cruiserweight is not really, you know, at least here in the States, we don't really pay attention to that division way too much. But I mean, he could give it a shot, you know. He is, you know, whether you want to admit it or not, I do think he has a certain amount of star power. He was able to get a lot more eyes turned on to the light heavyweight division. So who knows? Maybe he could go up to cruiserweight and maybe bring some shine to that division. But then again, you think he'd be able to beat Usyk? You know, there's a lot to consider when you're talking about a fighter of his age moving up. You know, it's not out of the realm of possibility to start looking at the top fighters that are there now, because there's a lot of fighters that are his age or younger who haven't really taken that much damage, which, granted, you know, Wilder, he has taken a little bit of damage. That's more due to him hitting hard. You know, his hand, you know, he had to have surgery. So I don't see Ward going to heavyweight, because that's the other thing. Ward is sitting on the throne right now. Now, like I said, I don't agree that he's there, but it is what it is. Do you think he's going to move up to a weight division to just be mediocre? No, he's going to move up there if he thinks he can take it. And I'll be honest, from what I see, heavyweiht's a different ball game from the rest of boxing. I don't see him making it there. But anyways, to all my subscribers, anybody watching my videos, or if you just so happen to stumble on this video, I know this video is a little bit all over the place, but you let me know what you think. Do you think that he'll be able to make it in heavyweight? You know, do you think he's that good? Or do you feel the same way I do? And about boxing, really that's what this video is about. Do you think boxing is dying? Or do you think that I brought up some good points about, you know, just the sport kind of going through growing pains? But anyways, y'all have a wonderful and blessed day. Peace.
Congratulations, you are still alive. Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you, not anymore.